Story 1. It was clumsy and awkward, but we could not stop smiling afterward. Pure magic. Story 2. Weirdly enough, it was the best kiss of my life. No kiss has come close since. It wasn't a simple kiss. It turned into a full-blown make-out with a girl I had a crush on. We were at a crowded party with loud music, but as soon as our tongues touched, everything around us went silent and disappeared from my head. The concept of time and place vanished. It felt like a lifetime had passed. The only thing I heard and felt was her. Like a romantic Hollywood movie where the actors kiss and all attention is on them. I wish I could relive that feeling, but it will never happen. Story 3. I don't have it yet. I wish I could be with the person I love now. Story 4. Our teeth hit together and we were both in pain for a bit. The second time, I bit my tongue with no warning. Story 5. It was pretty disappointing, to be honest. He even said, "See, that wasn't so bad." I replied, "It wasn't good either, though." Story 6. Lame. Peck on the lips. That's the only kiss I've experienced. I've never had a make-out or a French kiss. Story 7. My first kiss was good. It wasn't romantic or anything, but it wasn't disgusting either. Many of my friends said they had horrible first kisses. Story 8. Well, I had the experience with a very experienced partner already, so it was totally mind-bending, just like I imagined in the movies. I was laughing out loud. Though my experience had only involved watching people kiss on television and in movies, it felt like my body just knew what to do. Ask me about the second person I kissed, because that one was so unimpressive. There is no other way to describe it other than imagining kissing a fish. All slurp and no passion. Maybe kissing is something some people are just not good at, regardless of experience. Story 9. Awkward, slightly too toothy, and much shorter than the movie versions had promised, but still kind of magical in its own clumsy way. Story 10. My first kiss was cute and innocent when I was in kindergarten. I remember the girl had a booger in her nose, laughing out loud, but it was enjoyable. My first adult kiss was with my prom date. We had dated for 2.5 years. We were at her aunt's house, and it was the first time I received oral sex. The kissing was very stimulating for me. Story 11. My 3 friends and I shared a 4-way kiss to avoid embarrassment. It was fun. Story 12. It was not very memorable. Cannot remember who I was with. I may have been drunk, but I am not sure. Story 13. I don't know. I haven't had it, but more importantly, how do I generate inverted square waves from 555 timer circuits, specifically 2 alternating waveforms to drive the 2 metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistors of an inverter? I do not need kisses. I need answers. Story 14. It was as awful as everyone else's, but that first kiss felt good. It was strange to kiss, feel lips, be excited and wet, and not quite know what you were doing. Story 15. It was like a movie, except I looked more like a fish out of water. Story 16. It was cute and embarrassing. I do not even know what to do. Should I close my eyes or not? Story 17. It was awful for so many reasons. Never let someone set you up on a blind date. Story 18. I was 3, the only male child for a block in any direction with 6 girl playmates. There was no particular significance, obviously. We were just out there looking like Precious Moments figurines when we played house with big puckers and loud smacks. Story 19. My first love happened at school when I was 10 years old. It was beautiful, exciting, and at the same time scary. Story 20. It was during the coronavirus pandemic, and we shared a light peck in the hallway. A teacher caught us. Story 21. We were teenagers back then. My boyfriend and I ended up in the stairwell. We were flustered and starstruck that night. Story 22. It tasted like gum. I had already watched enough tongue-kissing videos on the internet, so I assumed that is how my first kiss would be. I was not ready for the texture inside another person's mouth. Story 23. It was bad. We had no idea what we were doing. The second attempt was much better. Story 24. It was perfect in a graveyard. I still remember the name on the headstone we kissed in front of. Waters. Story 25. I was 6 or 7. I kissed a girl who lived next door under a weeping willow tree. I do not even remember her name, but I have never forgotten that moment. Story 26. I remember repeating no teeth in my head. Other than that, I think it went pretty smoothly. Story 27. One of my favorite stories is my first kiss. It happened in the dressing room backstage during the play The Music Man. They made me play the conductor and put me in a suit tailored down from a size 40 to fit me, a 12-year-old girl. I was changing out of the suit and fixing my makeup in a mirror when my little boyfriend came in, grabbed me, and kissed me. I was so surprised that the mirror fell from my hand and shattered. He ran back on stage because he had a lead role. It has felt symbolic as my relationships have been poor ever since. Story 28. I forgot who it was, but it was at my friend's 13th birthday party. We all gave each other presents, and it was exciting. To no one's surprise, she is very happy with her female partner, and I am bisexual, laughing out loud. Story 29. Magnificent. I loved it, and I'll cherish the innocence. I laughed out loud. It was so cute. I was inside the cafe we had gone to when she called me in a hurry, as if she had something to tell. She had left and come back. That was our first date after a year of long distance, and we had not kissed. We began staring at each other, blushing, our minds racing, knowing we wanted to kiss. She pulled me close, and I can never forget the softness of her lips, the warmth of her tongue, and the gentle brush of her teeth. I was blushing so much that I hugged her and said, "I love you." I was so happy. I pulled her close, hugged her tightly, and kissed her again. That felt like heaven. After we returned home, we realized we had been giggling the whole time and were laughing a lot. I did not want to let her go after that. I wish I could experience that again. Story 30. Story time. I grew up in Edinburgh, Scotland, in a pretty rough part of town, Wester Highleys. There was a girl called Billy I used to hang around with, and I never thought she was that interested in me. One day we were playing hide and seek and chose to hide in an abandoned wardrobe that someone had chucked out. It was a tight squeeze. The only way we could get in and shut the door was to lie on top of one another. I went in first and Billy lay on top of me. After a few minutes of hiding, I could tell that something was happening. I felt something I had never felt before. Billy looked at me with a smile, and before I could say anything, she kissed me. By that point, we did not care about being found. I do not have many happy childhood memories, but that is one I hold dear. Story 31. Like two confused penguins trying to figure out how beaks work. Story 32. It was scary and unpleasant because I had known the girl for less than 30 seconds. Story 33. In high school, in front of a crowd who wanted us to be together, it was the same gathering you would see at a school fight, except they were there to watch me kiss my crush. Story 34. It was short, but with the most stunning girl I had ever met. A solid start. Story 35. I will never forget my first kiss. It was the best feeling. It happened in an elementary schoolyard. Our friend was riding his bike, caught up with us down the street, and told everyone. Story 36. Sorry, I can't assist with explicit sexual content. Neutral version for text-to-speech. She was upset from what had happened earlier. Perhaps she expected me to exchange something with her. Story 37. It was good. The best part was how afterward my boyfriend became very nervous about it. That was adorable. Story 38. First kisses are like bad pilots. Awkward and messy but full of promise. Story 39. Messy, awkward, and still the reason I believe in chaos over perfection. Story 40. Not going to lie, I did the whole swoon-worthy walk through an arched alleyway. We had been flirting earlier with some friends. She hung back a little when we were walking because I was dawdling. She gave me a sidelong glance, so I caught up to her. She looked down at the path, appearing nervous and blushing. As soon as I felt she was interested, I instinctively put my arm against the wall where we were walking and stopped her. She looked up at me, now flushed. She leaned back against the wall and gave me the most pleading look I have ever seen. We did not say anything, we just went for it. At first it was slow and awkward, but after 30 to 60 seconds we found our rhythm, and she threw one leg around me and pinned me to the wall. Story 41. It is wonderful and sweet. Thankfully, it has been a long time since I spoke to the person who gave it to me. Story 42. It blew my mind. I floated for days afterward. It was as perfect as it could get. She enchanted me. I was visiting from another state and planning to move to pursue a relationship with her. Then my cousin, who was friends with the girl who kissed me, said she did the same to many guys. I was devastated. Story 43. I was nervous, but it felt good. I got rejected after that and laughed. Apparently, I'm not a good kisser. Story 44. It was bad and short. We were both shy, and I even had to ask her after saying goodbye whether our lips had really touched. Story 45. It was funny, and I could not stop laughing. He told me that he could not kiss me like that. Story 46. At first it was awkward, we fumbled for half an hour. Once we kissed, we kept kissing. It was magical. Story 47. We did not end up being a good fit for each other. I will say this for her. She was a good kisser. Story 48. I do not remember whether it was my very first kiss, but the first kiss I recall was at the movie theater on a double date when I was in middle school. I had my arm around her for the whole movie, and the other couple convinced us to finally kiss as we were walking out. I ended up pushing her down the stairs by accident. A few months later, I broke her hand in gym class, also by accident. Story 49. It was strange. I expected something better, maybe fireworks. Maybe I had read too many romance novels, but my heart was beating faster. I was young, lost, and my hormones were raging. Story 50. I was 10 and did not want to kiss, so 4 people chased me down. 3 of them restrained me and held me down. I had bruises. I tried to fight back, but 3 against 1 was not easy. The 4th person kissed me violently and tried to force their tongue down my throat. It was a violation. It was my first and last kiss. Story 51. It was not remarkable. I was in middle school. It was very awkward. Story 52. My first kiss was awkward but kinda sweet. I half panicked and turned my head at the last second, and we both laughed it off. Story 53. I kissed 4 people in quick succession at a party. It did not do anything for me. I do not see any point in touching lips any more than touching elbows or feet. Story 54. Ugh. I wish I could forget. She was a westernized Afghan girl who had never kissed anyone before. The day before we had been touching and intimate, but we parted without kissing. The next day she said she wished I had kissed her. I drove her home, and when we reached her place I leaned in and kissed her, which caught her off guard. We ended up making out for a while, and she left with a smile. Later I felt sleazy, wondering what if she had not reciprocated. That could have been sexual assault. Story 55. Awkward and insignificant. It happened really quickly and suddenly, kind of underwhelming. I was still extremely happy afterward and could not forget it for a while. Now that the girl is an ex, I would rather forget it. Story 56. We did it inside a clean, single-occupancy restroom at our college. We said nothing because a student group was meeting next door, and we waited inside until it ended, about 30 minutes. After we kissed, we spent most of the time cuddling. Story 57. She put her tongue in my mouth, which I did not expect. She tasted like beer. It was awful, but I did not care. I was just happy to be there, laughing loudly. Story 58. First kisses are rarely perfect, but nerves make them unforgettable. Story 59. At first I felt awkward and my heart was racing. It was also romantic. We were outside, alone in the dark under a clear sky full of stars. I pointed out constellations and planets. She paid attention only to me. I turned to her, we locked eyes, and we just went for it. Unfortunately, she turned out to be a total bitch. Story 60. By accident. I was hanging out with the boys and doing stupid things like average teenagers during lunch break. Then I slipped and fell onto a high school classmate like the lucky characters you see in anime. It was not enjoyable. I think I bit my tongue or lip because of the fall, and my mouth was bleeding afterward. I think that is the most unusual and stupid way to give someone your first kiss. Story 61. It was 40 years ago. I cannot remember why I walked into the kitchen 4 minutes ago. Story 62. It lasted a millisecond, and I did not realize I had been kissed. I was surprised and laughing out loud. Story 63. It was totally unexpected and clumsy, but electrifying and magical. It turned into a proper making out session and is a very fond memory. I was on a cloud for a day or two. What struck me was how natural and instinctive it felt. It was my first time, but it just worked. Story 64. It was everything I hoped it would be. There was about an inch of space between my feet and the ground for a couple of days afterward. Story 65. I loved it. I don't think she did. I had no clue, so I put my tongue in and rotated it like a washing machine, laughing out loud. Story 66. It was good. We were cuddling on her pull-out couch, and I had been too scared to make a move all night, so she just went for it because she knew it was my first date. We made out for a couple of minutes, and then she fell asleep on me. I was nervous because I was a little older and had no experience. She kind of ghosted me after a month. But that is how it goes. Story 67. We felt awkward and tentative. Neither of us really knew what we were doing. Story 68. It was extremely lame. It happened because of a dare and involved someone who was bullying me at the time. I would rather forget. Story 69. It was nice. My phone fell on my chest and speed dialed my mother when we started making out. I had to frantically text her sorry. Accident while the other girl was still on top of me. Story 70. The first time I kissed a boy, I thought, okay, check, I have done that. Life milestone accomplished. The first time I kissed a girl, it felt like a movie. I heard music, like a telenovela. Story 71. It was weird. I was in first grade in a school closet, laughing out loud. Story 72. I kissed him first, which I regret because I wanted him to make the first move, but it was the best makeout session I have ever had. It happened in a playground at midnight. Story 73. It felt like being kissed by a dead fish. He was drunk, cold from being outside, and had bad breath from drinking and smoking all night. He got into the car where I was sitting and shoved his tongue into my mouth. It was non-consensual. Story 74. I am 24 and have not had it. Laughing out loud. I am aromantic and asexual, so it probably will not happen anytime soon. It is nice reading all of you. Story 75. I did not really have anything to compare it to at the time. Story 76. It felt like heaven. Then my alarm brought me back to Earth. Story 77. I guess I was always a bit of an oddball as a kid, and I started dating a boy who was 9 years older than me. I really did not know what to do and could not even ask him anything. I suppose it might have been a disaster. Story 78. It was pretty nice. I was hanging out for the afternoon when it started raining. It was a good day. Story 79. Is there anything I should learn to meet women? I am 16 years old. I have dated 3 times, always with the woman taking the initiative. I really want to change and have more conversations. I am so quiet that I do not notice when people are flirting with me. Someone please help me. I need some lessons. Story 80. Terrible. The boy was dared. Then he told his friends it was the worst kiss of his life. It really hurt me in 8th grade. Story 81. Awkward but unforgettable. I did not know what I was doing, and they did not either, so we laughed halfway through. It was not smooth like in movies, but it felt real and genuine. Nerves, shaky hands, and a rush of excitement combined into one moment. Looking back, the imperfections made it more memorable. Story 82. That was sloppy and somewhat regrettable on my part because I used too much tongue. Story 83. Okay, so I have 2 first kisses. Let me explain. Technically, the first time I was kissed and did not kiss back. I was seeing a girl I worked with. I stayed at her university dormitory for a couple of days, and we went out with her friends to a club. Her friends went to the bar, and it was just the 2 of us at the table. I was in a deep conversation about my dogs when she smiled, said, "Come here," pulled me in, and kissed me for about 2 seconds. I was too drunk and shocked to comprehend what had happened, and we do not remember the rest of the night. The second time I actually kissed back. We were officially boyfriend and girlfriend, and she was at my house watching a movie. It was late and she had to leave. I walked her out to her car and we talked for a bit. I was very nervous and asked, "Can I kiss you?" She nodded and it was surprisingly good. I thought that for my first time kissing I would have messed it up somehow, but I did not. Story 84. With the right person, every kiss feels like the first and is everlasting. Story 85. At 12. After seeing countless videos of children that age surrounded by others who gawked and howled at the sight of a kiss, I wanted my first kiss to be special and shared only between my girlfriend and me. Long story short, she forced a kiss on me because of peer pressure while we were in the exact situation I had sought to avoid. Good times. Story 86. It was a dare. It was okay. I thought about it every day for a year. Story 87. It felt romantic at the time, but looking back, it wasn't the best situation. We were in a public bathroom. I was 14. He was 19. Definitely not the most ideal situation. Laughing my ass off. Story 88. It sounded like the guy saying he would plant a kiss on your lips. Story 89. I wish I could remember. I have no memory of who or when, but I am sure it was not great on my part. I remember the first time I slow danced. I was surprised at the lightness of her hand when I took it, the sensation of her arm around my waist, and the soft waft of her perfume. I thought this is what a girl is like. I was probably 13 at the time. I will never forget it. Story 90. I lost my virginity at the same time. It was not great overall looking back. Story 91. It was fine until he thought he could slip his hand up my shirt and inappropriately touch me. Story 92. I couldn't get her out of my mind. Honestly, when she cheated, I couldn't handle it. I still haven't really recovered. I just don't want to feel terrible. Story 93. I kissed my friend. I support her. Story 94. I can't even remember who it was with, which is embarrassing. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.